Lesson 20 is on triangles, and the main things from Lesson 20 are that triangles can be named by either their angles or their sides. If they're named by their sides, there are scalene triangles, which means that none of the sides are the same length. There are isosceles triangles, which means two of the sides are the same length. And there are equilateral triangles, which means all of the sides are the same length. And then if they're named by angles, they are a right triangle, which means that triangle has one right angle. They are an acute triangle, which means all of the angles are acute or less than 90 degrees. And then there's the obtuse triangle, which means one angle in the triangle is more than 90 degrees. Also, all of the angles in a triangle add up to 180. So when you add up the degrees of each angle, it totals 180. And then the last part is that the area of a triangle is 1/2 times the base times the height. So let's get started. The tram driver collected $50.40 from 45 passengers. On average, how much did the driver collect per passenger? So this is an equal groups problem. And when we have equal groups, that means that we have the number of groups, so 45 passengers, and then the number per group, which is the cost per person, which we're not sure, and then the total, which is $50.40. In order to solve for one of the factors in an equal groups problem, we divide the product by the known factor. So we're going to take $50.40 and we're going to divide it by 45. So 45 goes into 50 one time. We put our decimal point there. 1 times 45 is 45. 50 minus 45 is 5. Bring down the 4. 1 goes into 54 once. 1 times 45 is 45. 54 minus 45 is 9. Bring the 0 down. 45 goes into 90 2 times. 2 times 45 is 90. 90 minus 90 is 0. That's how I know I'm done. So the total cost, or the cost per passenger on average, would have been $1.12. Mary could carry 12 liters, while Martha could carry 19 liters. How many liters could they carry together? So this is a combining problem. It means that we have some, then we have more, and then we have the total. 12 plus 19 is 31. Practicing quick shots, Roberto made 3 baskets in 10 seconds. At this rate, how many baskets could he make in 1 minute? So we have 3 baskets per 10 seconds, and we want to turn that into minutes. So we know that 60 seconds is a minute, and since I have seconds on the bottom in this fraction, I'll put it on the top of the next one. So I have 3 baskets times 60 seconds divided by 10 seconds. And then I would do times 1, but it doesn't, or divided by 1, but it doesn't change it any. So 3 times 60 is 180, divided by 10 is 18. Another way to think about that would be to say, all right, how many 10-second intervals are there in 1 minute, or 60 seconds? Well, there's 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Conrad brought home 3 gallons of milk. How many quarts is that? So we have 3 gallons. 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. So 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. Okay, so I have gallons on the top of this fraction, so they're going to go on the bottom of the next. Gallons will cancel out, and I'll be left with quarts. And since 3 and 4 are both on top, 3 times 4 is 12 quarts. Write the prime factorization of 60. Use exponents for repeated factors. So the first thing we do when they ask us to write prime factorization is make a factor tree. So we have 60. Two numbers that multiply to give me 60 are 10 and 6. Two numbers that multiply to give me 10 are 5 and 2. Two numbers that multiply to give me 6 are 2 and 3. So the prime factorization would be 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. But since I have two 2's, they want me to use exponents. So I would say 2 squared times 3 times 5. Number 6 says plot the following points on a coordinate plane. If you have graph paper, great. You can ask for some in class, or you can get the worksheet off Facebook as well and print this off, and it would be on there. So, negative 1, 1. Negative 1 is the x. That means go to the left 1. 1 is the y. That means go up 1. Negative 1, negative 6 means left 1 and then down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, 1 means go to the right 5 and up 1. 5, negative 6 means go to the right 5 and down 6. Then it says, then draw segments connecting the points to form a rectangle. What is the perimeter? So we count the squares to figure out how long each side is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perimeter is where we add up all the sides. So 6 plus 7 plus 6 plus 7. 6 plus 7 is 13, and 13 and 13 is 26. And then, since we don't know what the units are, we just say units. It says, use the following information for problems 7 and 8. Sergio priced a popular game at several game stores. These prices are recorded below. So find the mean, median, mode, and range of the data. To find the mean, we're going to add them all up. So we're going to take 52 plus 49 plus 48 plus 50 plus 49 plus 51. And that's going to be 349. If you look at it, 50 and 50 are going to make 100, 49 and 50 make 100, and 52 and 48 make 100. And then, so we have 1, 2, 349. And then there are 7 numbers. So 349 divided by 7. Not a pretty number, so I would let you use a calculator on this one. 349 divided by 7, we would round to be $49.86. It's 49.8571 in the calculator. The 7 rounds the 5 up to a 6. So that's the mean. The median, we put the numbers in order and then find the middle number. So down below here, 48 is the smallest, and then 49, 49, 50, 50, 51, and 52. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers there, so I did something right. And then I go through and find the middle number. So the median is 50. The mean was $49.86, $49.86. The mode is the number that occurs the most. There are two. There are 49 and 50, because they both have two of each. And then the range is the biggest number minus the smallest number. So 52 minus 48 is 4. So the range is 4. Which measure would you use to report the spread in the prices? Well, spread is how far spread apart they are, and that's the range. Because it tells you how big the difference is between the smallest and the biggest number. Number 8 says, if Sergio found the game on sale at a different store for $30, which measure of central tendency, mean, median, or mode would be affected the most? So the mean actually gets calculated. The mode is just what's most common. The median is the middle number, and it does not get super affected by outliers like 30. So in this case, the mean would be affected the most. And you can try it, actually write these out and see for yourself that when you put 30 in the data and do what we just did in number 7, the mean is the most different from our answers in 7a versus the median and the mode. The mode will still be the same, and the median will probably be 49 and a half maybe. Compare 2/3 and 3/2. Well, 2/3 is less than 1. And 3/2 is more than 1. 3/2 means I have circles cut in half. I have 1/2, 2/2, 3/2. So 3/2 is 1 1/2. 2/3 means I have a circle cut in thirds, and I have 2 of them. So 2/3 is less than 1/2. So 2/3 is less than 3/2. The absolute value of -7 is 7, and the absolute value of 7 is 7. Those two are equal. Write a fraction equivalent to 3/25 that has a denominator of 100. So if I have 3/25, I want to write it over as something over 100. I ask myself, how do I go from 25 to 100? Well, I multiply by 4. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So 3 times 4 is 12. So 12 100ths. And then that actually gives me the answer to what is the decimal equivalent. Because if I was to write 12 100ths as a decimal, it would look like this. This is the 10th hundredth spot. So the number 12 is written after the decimal point, and it ends in the hundredths place. Plot the approximate location of the square root of 5 on a number line. Well, we have a number line. 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So the perfect squares, 1 is the square root of 1, 2 is the square root of 4, and 3 is the square root of 9. Because 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 3 is 9. So if I'm looking for the square root of 5, it's going to be in between 4 and 9, and it's going to be closer to 4. It's closer to 4 than it is to 9. So the square root of 5 is going to be somewhere a little less than 2.5. Probably like 2 1/4, 2.2 something. Classify each triangle by angles and by sides. So this triangle here, by angle, we see that it has a right angle, so it is a right triangle. And we also see that there's no tick marks like this or this, like we see in B, to tell us that the two sides are the same. So we don't know that they are, so we would assume then that all of the sides are different. And if all the sides are different, it's called a scalene triangle. In B, we have an angle here that if I was to hold a piece of paper up, this would be a right angle. So this angle there is more than 90 degrees. So this is an obtuse triangle. And then we see that these two sides are the same length. If two sides in a triangle are the same length, it's called an isosceles triangle. Refer to the figure to answer A through C. Which angle appears to measure 60 degrees? Well, we have three angles to choose from. It could be PMQ, it could be QMR, or it could be PMR. And 60 degrees, we know, is less than 90. So which of these ones looks like it's less than 90? Well, QMR looks like it's less than 90 to me. So angle QMR. When you name an angle, you always need to make sure that the vertex or the corner of the angle is the middle letter. The other two actually don't matter. So I could also name this as RMQ. Which angle appears to be 120 degrees? Well, 120 we know is more than 90, but it's also less than 180. PMR looks like it's 180. So the only angle choice we have left would be PMQ. So PMQ is obtuse, QMR is acute, and PMR is a straight angle, or 180 degrees. Which angle appears to be 180 degrees? Well, like we just talked about, angle PMR is a straight line, so it looks like it's 180 degrees. Find the area of this triangle. When you are looking for the area of a triangle, the formula is 1/2 times the base times the height. And the base and the height need to be perpendicular. So you'll always see a little right angle symbol when they're talking about the base and the height. In this triangle, conveniently, it's a right triangle, so our base and our height are already in the triangle because we see the perpendicular symbol. So the area for this one is going to be 1/2 times the base is 3 times the height is 4. 3 times 4 is 12, and then half of that is 6. And since this is area, it's the units squared. Simplify. 9 cubed means that we're going to take 9 and multiply it by itself 3 times. So 9 times 9 is 81, and then times 9, well, if you think about it, 9 times 10, or 81 times 10 would be 810, and then we have 1 less than that, so it would be 801. So let me try that again. So 9 times 9 times 9, that's 81 times 9. So then we have 81 times 9 9 times 1 is 9. 8 times 7 is 72. Or 8 times 9 is 72. So 9 cubed is 729. I misspoke before. Sorry, guys. Number 16, 13 squared means 13 times 13. You should just know things squared up to at least 13. 13 times 13 is 169. The square root of 64 asks the question, what number times itself equals 64? Well, I know that 8 times 8 equals 64, so the square root of 64 is 8. The cubed root of 216 asks what number times itself 3 times equals 216. So since it's an even number, one thing that I know is that the number I'm looking for has to be even. And I'm going to guess that it's maybe 3 or 4 maybe. So I could try 4 times 4 is 16. I know it's not 2 because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. That's too small. 4 times 4 is 16. Times 4 is 64. That's still too small. So the next even number would be 6. So 6 times 6 times 6. 6 times 6 is 36. And then 36 times 6. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 3 is 18 plus 3 is 21. So it's 6, because 6 times itself 3 times is 216. Number 19, I have 1125 divided by 15. So 15 goes into 112. Let's see. 5 times 15 is 50, and 25 is 75, and then another 15 on top of that would be 90, and another 15 on top of that would be 105. So looks like 7 times 15 is 105. 112 minus 105 is 7. And 15 goes into 75 5 times. 15 times 5 is 75. So I have 0. And then number 20, I have 3/4 minus 5/12. I need to get them to have the same denominator. So I know that 4 is a multiple of 12, so I'm only going to change the one that has 4 as its denominator. And I'm going to put it over 12. And then I ask what number times 4 gives me 12. 3 does. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. 3 times 3 is 9. So now my problem turns into 9/12 minus 5/12. 9 minus 5 is 4, and I keep the denominator. And 4 and 12 have a common factor of 4, so I'm going to divide the 4 by 4, and I get 1, and I'm going to divide the 12 by 4, and I get 3. So my final answer is 1/3. Write in exponential form. A times A times A times A times A times B times B. So I have 5 A's and 2 B's. So A to the 5th times B squared. And then 2. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 x's, so x to the 4th, and 1, 2, 3 y's, y to the 3rd. The coordinates of 3 vertices of a square are -1, 1, -1, so to the left 1 and down 1. 3, negative 1, so to the right 3 and down 1, and 3, 3, to the right 3 and up 3. What are the coordinates of the fourth vertex? Well, if this is going to be a square, it's got to be a straight line from the other 2 points here, which would mean that the coordinates are negative 1, because I go to the left 1, and then I go up 3. So negative 1, 3. Solve by inspection, which means that we're going to look and see what number can replace the variable and still make the equation true. So what number plus 90 equals 110? I think that it's 20. And then we check. 20 plus 90 equals 110. That checks out. 24 says 90 minus 3 times what number equals 60? Well, we want to think about this as 90 minus what number, so what number would have to go here would equal 60. Well, 90 minus 30 is 60. So now 3x has to be 30. So 3 times what number gives me 30? Well, that's 10. So I'll double check that, and I would say 90 minus 3 times 10, which is 30, equals 60. 90 minus 30 is 60. That's true. 38 is equal to 2 times a number minus 2. So what number, when I subtract 2 from it, equals 38? Well, that's 40. So the 2x has to equal 40 then. And 2 times what number gives me 40? 2 times 20 gives me 40. So if I double check, 2 times 20 is 40, minus 2 is 38. That checks out. And then the last one, anytime I divide a number by another number and I get 1, that tells me that the first number had to be the same as the second number. So 100 divided by 100 would give me 1. Find AC when A equals 3 and C equals 12. So 4 times A is 3 times C is 12. Well, 4 times 3 is 12, and 12 times 12 is 144. For A equals S squared, find A when S equals 25 feet. So the area equals the side squared for a square, and they gave us that S is 25. So A equals 25 squared. So 25 times 25 is 625. And then feet squared, since the units are feet and its area, they're squared. Rearrange the addends to make the calculation easier. Then justify each step. Then simplify, justifying each step. So, I look at this and I see that these are in sixths right here. So I would like to do those first because they have a common denominator. So the first thing I'm going to do is switch the parentheses around. I'll have 3 and 1/6 plus 4 and 1/6 first, and then I'll add on 2/3. So 3 plus 4 is 7, and 1/6 plus 1/6 makes 2/6. But then 2/6 2 and 6 have a common factor of 2, so if I divide 2 by 2, I get 1, and if I divide 6 by 2, I get 3. So 2/6 is the same thing as 1/3. And now I have a common denominator again. 7 1/3 plus 2/3. 1/3 plus 2/3 is 1. So I have 7 plus 1 is 8. And up here I was able to switch where the parentheses are by the associative property, which says that the groupings don't matter when you're adding. Number 30. The number -9 is a member of which set of numbers? Well, -9, whole numbers do not include negative numbers. They only include 0 and then 1, 2, 3, and so on, all the positives. Counting numbers start with 1 and go positive from there. Integers include negative whole numbers. Irrational numbers are ones that don't end and don't repeat when they're decimals. So it's not that, because 9 clearly ends. It's a rational number since it ends. And then F, real numbers, include all of those that are listed. So if it's 1, then it's got to be real numbers as well.